Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. In today's video I've got two stories for you and both of them have updates. Also a warning, today's first story is about spousal abuse and it gets pretty raw and graphic, but I still think it's worth reading and sharing because it could help somebody out there. Still, if you are uncomfortable with this topic, you might want to skip the whole first story. Having said that, let's get started. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user Deleted. I'm 32 male trying to set boundaries with 34 female unhealthy jealous spouse and she refuses to budge. I have been married for a few months and there have been some rocky moments where my wife's attitude would turn on a dime. She was dealing with depression and anxiety and probably had a fear of abandonment from her past relationships too. Her jealousy has led to her accusing me of looking for any sexual relationship outside of marriage. She's gone as far as forcing me to change the default Google Assistant to a male voice. A few days ago, she saw a friend's suggestion I got on Facebook and flipped out, saying I was searching for her because she was a past ex or romantic interest. The Facebook suggestion turned out to be an old group partner for a 4-person project from undergrad. This is not the first time that she's accused me of seeing or lusting after someone else. She also accused me of going after someone at work, one of my trainers. It has come to the point that I avoid bringing up certain topics to avoid her going into an angry fit. I know with the standard advice that if she is being so accusatory, she could be projecting her guilt of cheating on me, and I think she might have bipolar disorder with a lot of the symptoms. I also know that a friend that she still talks to almost proposed to her too. After a fight a few nights ago, she said it didn't matter what I thought, even if she sent him a picture of her boobs. Her mental health requires her to be on X4, and when it comes close to her next dose, she gets more jealous and irrational. From my cursory search, this jealousy is very unhealthy and her fear of not wanting to be abandoned makes her double down on the accusations or suspicions. For the past few months, she has been throwing out the threat of leaving me or divorce so often that when she says it now, it doesn't hurt at all. When I told her one time just to leave, she doubled down on me coming home to make up. I don't have much experience in relationships where there is a difficult mental health issue such as bipolar. I've unsuccessfully tried to set boundaries before, but she scoffs at them. I feel sorry for the things she had to go through and only want the best for her, but it feels like in this marriage, I have given 90% in making things happen. And she has been coasting in the background, smoking, drinking, and not focusing on helping out financially. I'm not allowed to go out with friends, my time away is constantly questioned, and my opinions and interests are disregarded when she just wants me nearby. I don't know what I can salvage, but I'm looking for advice on how to give reasonable expectations to a person when they are being unreasonable. Nope. OP, this is not a regular relationship. I know that she might have issues, but you're in an abusive relationship that you need to get out of. First, her forcing you to change the Google Assistant voice is just unhinged in my opinion. Like, who can get jealous of a phone's voice, honestly? Then she flips out about a Facebook friend suggestion. That's just stupid. But at the same time, it's okay for her to be friends with somebody who proposed to her in the past, and she says it's fine if she sends him nudes? And you're okay with this crap? You're making 90% of the effort in this relationship while she's smoking, drinking, on meds. That's just irresponsible. And you're not even allowed to go out with your friends. Dude, what kind of life are you living? What do you actually want to try to salvage? There is nothing here. I mean, apart from an abusive relationship where she keeps saying she's gonna leave you or divorce you for every little thing, but then when you say, okay, fine, then leave, then she wants you nearby. No, OP, this is no way to live. And you mentioned that you've only been married for a few months. Did you have any engagement time, or like did you meet her and marry her the next day without knowing anything? So yeah, I know that the typical Reddit advice is you need to get a divorce, you need to leave her, but like in this case, yeah, that is absolutely what you need to do. And what do you guys think about OP's situation? What would you do? I mean, how fast will you leave this relationship? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Skitten says, I think if you can, you should talk this through with a therapist. She is being unreasonable and you know that. But I feel like you're trying to set boundaries with a known serious health issue involved is the sort of thing where it's good to call in somebody with specific knowledge about dealing with that known health issue. I will say it's okay to divorce her. I will also say, so jealous you had to change your Google Assistant voice to a male one? That's a level of jealousy that I don't have any words for. That's not even projecting, that's a serious problem. My standard advice is actually not about projection, as I don't think it actually matters whether or not the other person is cheating. My standard advice is that a relationship without trust isn't a relationship worth having. You will have to decide whether or not you agree with that. And Opie responds, I know I have not had many romantic relationships, but she also points out the many that she had and deems her experience more valid. A lot of her past relationships have ended with her significant others cheating, and I feel like a lot of that is being projected onto me unfairly. She claims that I am not ready for getting married and that she could have any man, but she chose me. She constantly complains about my income and job hours, saying that she has higher standards, but she does not work yet or has tried to adjust spending until we are in a better financial situation. Wow, this just gets worse. She says I always check out any other woman, and when her medicine was wearing off, she broke my glasses, saying it was deserved for having wandering eyes. Wow. She's been back and forth between hating me and loving me, and I find it so confusing at times. She has apologized for a fracture she gave me punching me so hard, but not for breaking my glasses. I've tried to help set up some mental health appointments for her, and I've gotten on the phone to get something going. I feel like I might have to go through with divorce for my sanity and for my future too. Also, I am seeing a therapist and I'm trying to work on my overall assertiveness. Lorcan Hartswife says she's abusive and refusing to get help for her mental illness. I'm bipolar and I know I can get a bit effy sometimes, but I never pull this crap because I know ultimately I'm responsible for my behavior. You're going to have to divorce her. You can't do therapy with an abuser, and she's also refusing therapy. You can't make her change. You can only get out now. Maybe that'll shock her out. And Opie responds, thank you for the candid response. That's general how I think it'll have to. Love, Hate, Passion, Pain says, take this with a grain of salt since this is armchair psychology, but it sounds like she may have massive abandonment issues, which can be part and parcel with borderline personality disorder. Having to change Google Assistant to a male voice is downright crazy town. I think her issues are far beyond anything you can do, no matter what you try. My bet is that she will still be insecure and will find other perceived slights against her when analyzing your behavior. You need to tell her in no uncertain terms that her behavior is not acceptable. Tell her you love her, but if she wants a successful, happy marriage, she needs to seek treatment for her jealousy. And Opie responds, thank you. I said my piece in a final email mentioning borderline personality disorder and reiterating the fact that I still love her and want her to get the help she needs. And she does have abandonment issues from what I've gleaned from her past relationships. And from her telling me to always leave and then pulling me back at the last moment. I'm planning on moving and trying to take care of myself now. It feels lonely and selfish focusing on myself after so long. Okay, wow, reading these comments was tougher than reading the original post, particularly OP's response with the punching and all of that. And I'm kinda guessing that that last commenter didn't read OP's response because instead of telling OP that he needs to tell her that he loves her, he should be telling OP that he needs to file assault charges against her and get a divorce. Anyway, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends, and I'm not going to ask you to click like on the video now because this story right now is really stressful, so I'll just wait to do that after the update if the update warrants it. So let's move on. My wife was extremely jealous one night and said I had wandering eyes, even when I could barely see without my glasses that she had broken. That night, she ended up sending me to the ER and she was arrested. She is concerned about what I need to do to correct her predicament when she was the one who threw the blows. Today was one of the pre-trial court hearings. She was upset all night last night, saying that it was my fault that she was in this situation of a felony for assaulting me and that her stress was all of my fault. She scoffed at the deal that the state was offering, saying it was a death sentence for her career and our marriage. It was my understanding that a no-contact order would be in place while classes are being completed, but would be lifted after. She was under the impression that it would last through her probation. The night prior, she was upset that I was doing research on marriage counseling, saying I thought we were too far gone, even when we talked about finding a counselor for a few days before. Late nights, early mornings, she gets more paranoid as her medication wears off, Exafor, and I try to bear her verbal assault trying to calm her down. Having a feeling a split was imminent, I packed my clothes and belongings from the place she was staying at during her no-contact order period while she was finishing up in court. When she got out, we had another argument about what she said I needed to do to fix her situation, saying I needed to spend more money on 2 apartments so she wasn't stuck living with her friend. To put her jealousy into perspective, she was uncomfortable with me having the default female Google Assistant voice and she demanded I change it to a male voice. Also, she says I have wandering eyes, accusing me of checking out any woman that is anywhere and constantly questioning me if I am cheating on her. She has no respect for the privacy of my phone and searches through it, deleting any evidence of her jealousy, like breaking my glasses, and then refuses to let me search through her own phone, just trying to point out the one-sidedness of her actions. When I called her out on her jealousy of the default Google voice, she demanded that I leave, that I had no respect for her friend's house, and that I had no place to argue thereafter. I decided to put out feelers for a divorce attorney and have started organizing my notes and evidence of her financial, physical, and emotional abuse over the course of our marriage. I have a therapist I have been seeing about some of this going on, and I have another appointment tomorrow. It's depressing that someone I love would say or do things to hurt me just because of paranoia or unhealthy jealousy. I've tried getting her the mental health help that she needs, but she refuses to take the steps and initiative after getting her the information. My mom recommended I go no contact after talking with her today and after she mentioned that my wife called her the other day, ranting about me and my faults as a husband. I have no friends locally and I feel like with the internet, the anonymity and the disconnect with personal relationships provide cathartic relief for my situation. So thank you everyone for your support. It means a lot to me since I generally feel unnoticed or cared about by anyone. Well, P, the first thing I'm going to say is that you should definitely follow through with the divorce. Just stop contact altogether like you said you would and just go through with divorce. Now to my community. I know this was not an easy story for you guys to listen to. It was definitely a difficult one for me to read, particularly the comments and the update. And as you know, I don't read those before doing my commentary, so they caught me completely off guard. Still, the reason why I wanted to share it with you guys is because this stuff is real and there are people in relationships like this, and maybe putting this video out there might help somebody take the first steps into leaving this type of relationship. So if you heard this story and you think it's very similar to your life, get out now. And having said all that, let's move on to the next post that, like I said in the beginning, also has an update, and I'm gonna make sure it's a mood booster. Now, the story I'm going to read is one that I've already read as the second story to this video back in November of 2020, but it is my favorite all-time Reddit story, and I think you guys are going to like it. And those of you who have already heard it from me, I'm sure you'll agree as to why it's such an awesome story. Now, since the last time I read it, the OP has already deleted the account and the stories, but I was able to recover them. However, I will keep it as read by a deleted account. Let's continue now. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice and it's by user Deleted. Can't wait until Thursday. My 48 male, wife 44 female is going to be shocked. So, my wife and I have been together for 17 years. We are still stupid for each other and she is the absolute love of my life. My best friend, my confidant, and co-conspirator. About 2 years ago, she started having joint aches and pains, and some minor swelling in her hands, wrists, ankles, etc. So, off we went to the general practitioner who gave us a consult with a rheumatologist. Come to find out, she has rheumatoid arthritis. No worries, she starts the treatment. Fast forward to a month ago, when our North Texas weather decided to go full mental and start changing temperatures and rain and weather by the hour. She woke up after overnight temperature changes and thunderstorms, and her hands were huge. Worse, her small petite fingers looked like sausages. And even though she had been previously warned about this, she had slept with her wedding ring. So off to the doctor's office, where they had to cut off the ring. So now for the bad news. Our rings were specially ordered from Ireland and custom designed, and have words in Gaelic around the exterior of the ring, negating any type of repair, and they were designed and made 17 years ago. She was absolutely gutted. I assured her we would figure it out and it wasn't a big deal, but I could tell that to her, it was. Begin Sherlock Holmes mode. I googled until I couldn't Google anymore, and I was able to find that the original jeweler had closed up shop 10 plus years ago just due to age. I searched for some more and I finally found his personal Facebook page. I messaged him and waited until I finally got a response from his daughter that she had noticed a pending message on her dad's page and that he just passed away 6 months ago. I expressed my condolences and she asked what was the purpose of my inquiry. I go into this long diatribe about what had happened, etc. She told me she understood and was so sorry about what had happened. Fast forward a couple of weeks. I got a message on Facebook from an unknown person and she explained this was the daughter of the jeweler. She explained that she went through all her dad's designs and looked up the approximate dates. She thinks she found the drawings, the details, and molds in her dad's things and wanted me to confirm. She sent pictures and I confirmed that yes, those are our rings. She said she would get all of this to us as soon as possible and asked for our address. Now, I opened my email this morning to find tracking information and pictures of our rings. She went ahead and had her brother, who had taken over her father's business, make our wedding bands again in her original size and 2 extra in 2 larger sizes in case her condition causes her fingers to swell or change, and mailed them to us at no charge. I asked why they did both, as mine was fine, and she said it would not be fair that my wife had to have a new ring and I was allowed to keep my old one. She told me we needed to put our original set away and to enjoy our new wedding bands. I asked about compensation and she said she was honored to keep her dad's work and spirit alive. Our new wedding bands will be here on Thursday, and I'm trying to think of a romantic way to present her with them as she has no idea any of this took place. Opie's edit number 1. I rarely keep anything from her, but I didn't want to tell her I was trying only for her to be ultimately disappointed. The absolute hardest thing for me from now until they arrive will be not to tell her, as we tell each other everything. So now I not only need to figure out how to do this, but not to spill the beans until then. Our friends nicknamed us Mickey and Mallory, as well as Marshall and Lily from How I Met Your Mother, because we literally tell each other everything. Edit 2. I thought about taking her to our local favorite restaurant where I actually proposed to her. She's a nurse, a VA nurse, how we met 18 years ago. And so she always goes to the bathroom to wash her hands prior to ordering. When I originally proposed, I waited until she got up to wash her hands, dropped her ring in her wine glass, and waited. I'm thinking of a repeat. Edit 3. Now, to those of you saying I am awesome, not in the slightest. She is my world. She brought 2 sons to this Addwater family that was my pleasure to raise and are now my best friends. She is the reason I breathe, and she supported all of us when I went back to school to achieve my 2 doctorates and advance my career. She is my hero, and I wake up every day to earn her all over again. This was one small thing I was able to do to bring her happiness. Her joy is why I have a heartbeat. I don't give a good flying F at a rolling donut if I seem sappy. If a man isn't allowed to get sappy over his wife, he shouldn't have one. Edit 4. Dang guys, never expected this kind of response. So for those wanting information about the jeweler, I sent an email to them requesting permission to publicize what they did and who they are, and a link to this post. Once I get a response, I will either post their information or their response in my update, which I guess I am now going to do at a request of so many. I will update either Friday night or Saturday morning, as I was going to do this Thursday when the rings came in. But now that this whole thing has taken a life of its own, I will be doing it on our regular date night. Also, having her aunt and uncle there will not raise any eyebrows, as it is not uncommon to have multiple people, friends, or family show up at this local restaurant. And for those complaining about there not being any advice, my advice is this: if something crappy happens, don't just give up. Try to find a solution. Try to be that guy or gal, the one that gets crap done and goes out of his or her way to make his or her partner happy. Small stuff matters. Smile at them for no reason, and when they ask what, reply nothing and keep smiling. Don't call them names ever, even if they do when you are arguing. Randomly tell them they're hot, beautiful, and sexy. Put them on a pedestal and they will put you on one as well. Hope that counts as advice. Oh, and kiss your partner without context, expectation, or reason. That is such a nice story, but of course we have an update and I'm not going to give any commentary or read any comments because there's no point. So let's just move on to the update now. So I have just returned from lunch where my wife received her new band. We kept it low-key with no pictures or video and semi-private. What we did was planned to take her cut band to a local jeweler after lunch and invited our two sons to lunch before the appointment. While ordering, our oldest son asks to see the damaged or cut wedding band, saying he might be able to fix it. He takes it below the table and starts acting like he is squeezing and straining, and then places a complete fixed band on the table and asks his mom if that works. She is astounded and places the band on her finger, but it is too big. Our youngest son says he can fix that and asks for the band. My wife reluctantly and with a look of what the F is going on her face, hands the band to our youngest. He takes it below the table, squeezes and strains and makes it smaller but not quite perfect when she puts it on. She is now trying to figure it out, and as she takes it off and starts to inspect it, I take it away from her and do the same act as our boys. But this time, the band fits perfectly on her finger and she has quite literally had enough. She finally takes it off, inspects it pretty hard and cannot figure it out until our oldest places her cut and older band on the table. Our youngest places the too large band on the table and I place the next size on the table. At this point, she's just staring at all of us and I explain what had happened, how I was able to find the jeweler, etc. I even showed her the Reddit post. She didn't start crying until reading about the comments and all the caring and support you guys posted. Lunch was ordered, we all talked about everything, ate lunch as a family, and parted ways back to our respective work, home, etc. She, my wife, did mention that after reading all the replies, she would have killed me if I had gone full public display and all that. So I am very thankful to those who suggested keeping it low-key and semi-private. So, about the jeweler, they responded to my email regarding posting their name and information and would like to maintain their privacy. The oldest son is making jewelry and doing repairs only to catch up on previous work orders and work requests prior to their father's passing. Once it is all caught up, they are closing it for good. They sent copies of the drawings and mold for our bands and we placed them in our safe at home in case this happens again and we can get something made or designed. I followed up by asking if there was any way to repay their kindness, and I haven't had a response. Regardless, my wife is planning on hitting up some local spots and making them a Texan gift package and sending it to them. And that's it. She is extremely happy and overjoyed. I am really glad it's over, as I had no idea this would garner this much attention. And we can now go back to our normal lives. Thanks to everyone for their suggestions, and we are grateful for the outpouring of genuine caring. So yeah, relationship goals. That story is awesome. I love it. And even though it's a repeat story, I wanted to share it with you guys for those of you who haven't heard it yet. And because it is a stark contrast to the first story, and I think it's a good story to share. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.